Welcome back to Norwegian Bushcraft, and today I want to talk to you about cordage, and I want to show you some type of cordage, some way to make them, and further on. Cordage is often very underestimated, not because it's bad or not there, but because we have it with us, all of us. We carry a lot of it when we are out in the forest doing bushcraft, doing other stuff. We often carry the modern paracord, other kind of ropes, and yeah, all these modern material ropes. And we take this cordage for granted because we are so used to have this thin, modern, high quality, really strong cordage and rope handy. But what about if you're out of cordage? What about if you lose your cordage, lose your backpack, lose your jacket, anything where you carry your cordage? What then? Are you able to make cordage for use? To build a shelter, to make fire with a bowdrill maybe, or to repair your gear, make traps, even fishing line? Are you able to? That's a question you have to ask yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have seen a lot of videos or read about it in a book. If you've not tried it yourself, then I suggest you start with that, because it's very important, and you will not you will not see that until you're standing there without any cordage. Then you'll realize that this is a very, very important skill to learn in bushcraft and survival. Here in Norway or in Scandinavia, there are mainly 4 types of cordage that you can make very easy. And we can start with the spruce root. It's readily available, easy to find, easy to collect, doesn't require much, and if the ground is not frozen, you'll be able to find it year round. Well, here in this spruce forest we'll certainly will find some spruce roots we can use, but you don't need to be in a big spruce forest. You only need one spruce to find these roots. So if you find one single spruce, small or big, it will suit you well. Take my digging stick, start scraping the surface. There's one already, pretty big one though, that's good. Well, after just a couple of minutes, I have some smaller roots I can use, and I have this longer one. 1, 2, 3, more than 3 meter long. So we'll bring those back and we'll start doing something with them. Just for a quick shelter building, you don't need to do anything with the roots. The spruce roots will work as is, and There's no need to refine it in any way. So let's say you want to put up a ridge pole, 2 or 3. Well, I start with the thinner end and I just wrap it around itself, kinda. So when you pull at this, it will tighten itself. Like so. Let's say you're gonna make an A-frame shelter. Then you want a ridge pole, something like this. This is a little thick to make any good knots, but just wrapping it around will do the same trick. So the tension will squeeze on by itself, like so. Now use the root without any preparations, straight from the ground, put it on a tree. But there is a little bit of downside with that, because when this dries out now in the sun or just by normal drying, it will be more fragile. And if you have movements in this, if I haven't tied this so hard, so tight, this might have been moving in the wind or when you're using your shelter, whatever, and then you will eventually break this. It will be fragile, dry, and it will crack and it will break. But now, as long as it is wet, it will hold for many days. As I will demonstrate now, you can see that this root binding is extremely strong. Smaller pieces of root like this is also useful. From this you can make pretty thin cordage that you can use to bind stuff together. I even seen people making fish hooks out of a piece of wood, a piece of bone, and binding it with spruce roots. So to clean this up, it has some outer layer, some bark on. We want to remove that. It's several reasons. Maybe the most important is that you are able to see the root itself when you're splitting it. So you can use a twig with your split up, put it through, and do so. Because you don't want to harm the root too much, you just want to split up this outer layer. Now you can see that the bark will come loose from the root itself, so you can pick that off, like so. Now you can see that the root itself is significantly thinner than it was. And we're gonna clean up some of this. If you pull this towards the thicker end, you may make some grooves in in the root. You don't want that. So you can use a knife, or you can use your nails, or just to take it off, or you can pull it towards the thinner end, and you will not make any grooves in your root. And then start with a knife, splitting it half in the middle. Try to get it as middle as possible. And when you have split it like this, you can start splitting it by hand. You can start with a pretty thick root and do this, and you can end up with small long fibers like this. Sometimes you will see that the one piece wants to be thicker than the other one, and now you can see this side is a bit thicker than this. So then you bend this a little bit more, and it will go towards the middle again. It's not hard, it's not any work at all almost. It's very simple, but it's a bit time consuming. But still, this is one of the fastest, easiest way to make good cordage. It's kind of a wrong term, because this is not cordage itself. This is binding material, but we use it instead of cordage. So if you take one of these, it's pretty strong. It's very flexible. The benefit with splitting it like this is that you get one flat surface. So you can very easily bind something together, and this flat surface will have a good contact with the surface of what you're tying together. So you can use this to fasten a spear point, to repair something, to tie together a frame for a rucksack, maybe a Roycroft frame. There's a lot of uses. And also, when this dries now, it will shrink up, so it will be a very good binding. As you can see, when I'm collecting these stinging nettles, I just pull them right up from the ground with the root and everything. I can do that because the fibers in these stems are so strong, and that's exactly what we want. That's what we are after. So I just take it off like this. One, and there's about a little more than a meter of this I can use with fibers. Let's do that on some more of them. From this bundle, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stems. You won't get much cordage with high strength. but you get some feet of good cordage. Now I will show you how to process this and how to make the cordage itself. As you can see on the stems here, they are hollow, and that's a good thing. If you cut it very close to the root, it's almost solid. So you have to go a little bit up from the root when you cut them. What you want to do now is to break this, squeeze it until it cracks. On this thinner part, you might find it hard to squeeze it. It's always a bit easier here when it's where it's thicker. You have a more hollow stem, but it will be harder again towards the bottom because the hole is much smaller here. So what I often do, I take a stick and I smash it. And also these joints are often very hard to squeeze by hand. By smashing it like this, you will not harm the fibers that you're after anyway, so it doesn't matter. You want to crush the inner core. You don't want that. You don't want the inner stuff. I'm gonna peel off that anyway. And I like to crush it the other way also. Okay, so here I got a smashed up stem. So what I do, I kind of bend it outwards so you have all the inner side to one end, outer side. Then I'll break it with the outer side on the underneath, so I don't break the fibers. I break the inner stuff, and I push up and I reveal the fibers. These darker green ones are the one we want. These are the outside of the stem itself. And there are some meat here. I want to take that off from the fibers. Depending on the year, time of year you're out and doing this, and a little bit on the age of the plant, you will have it more difficult or easier to remove the fibers from the plant material itself. So when I come this far, I can put my fingers like so and kind of wiggle it out, and I will end up, I also use my thumb, you can see that, to kind of open the stem as I go. That way I can get long, good fibers. And here you see, you can come to a knot. I want to open that like so. We can continue our journey down the stem, and we can reveal a lot of good fiber materials for rope making. By doing it this way, you'll take off almost all the fibers at once. But take your time, don't rush, because the next step will go much faster if you have longer fibers. If you have short fibers, there's more work to it. Here you have meter long fibers. I usually proceed them a little bit by splitting them, because I don't want to have too thick too wide. If they are smaller, it's easier to make a finer cord and a stronger cord. So I often split this in smaller parts. Here I have fibers from 5 stems, and I like to start with a couple of long ones. These are 5 stems of 1 meter about. And I put them opposite, so normally they come out with one thicker end and one smaller end, and depending on how thick you want to make your cordage, that decide how many fibers you're putting in. So for this cord I'm putting in 3 fibers, like so, together, and I start not in the middle, but I make the one shorter than the other, and I start twisting them like so until they twist on themselves like this. I take the upper one, twist it from me, and I change them like so. Upper one, twist it away from me, change them like so, and I pinch them all the time. Upper part away, over, upper part away, over, upper part away, over, upper part away, over. Now I make a 2-ply rope. You can see the thickness. It's not that thick, but it's too thick for most fishing, freshwater fishing at least. But it's good for other stuff like bowdrills and stuff like that. Now it's just a matter of time, and sometimes you will feel that the fibers are not the same thickness all over. So some of them will be thicker. So if you feel one of them are starting to get thinner than the other, then you just add more material. And now I can feel that the upper one here is a little thinner. So I add 1 strip to that, like so. Now they feel kind of equal size. And you do this all the way until you're out of fibers, or you feel you have enough. This is a little bit thinner, so we add 1. By doing it this way, you will not have any splices at the same place. There will be a weak point in your rope. So I'll be back when I made some rope for you. So here's the result of 5 stems. Those stems were about 1 meter long, effective, and here's the cordage. Cordage is about about 1 meter total, and it's pretty not too thick, not too thin either. And this cordage is very soft and pliable, and As it is now, I can use it for a bowdrill. How strong is it? Let's test. Now they're out there. Single line. Even the single line can lift this 8 kilo bell. It's about 15 pounds or so. So the stinging nettle cordage, as you can see, is a very strong piece of cordage. Well, the next rope we're gonna make out of Salix caprea, also called goat willow. I found a younger sapling and I'm gonna try to use this. And we're gonna use the inner bark, so we have to remove the outer layer of the stem to get to the inner bark. It's a little bit more work than making rope out of nettles, but it's possible. And stinging nettles, as we know, are often found in a populated area. You will often find them around gardens, barns, and well, where there are civilization. So for far away from people in a desert place, for survival, you may not find stinging nettles, and so we have to deal with other materials like bark from trees, inner bark, and even outer bark for some other trees, but not in this area. So we'll start with cleaning off this outer part and taking off strips of inner bark. Just use the backside of the knife. Just be careful not to go too deep, but deep enough to take away the outer part and this greener stuff. It's not holding up very well as a cordage material. It's that part under this green you want. Okay, you can clean it even more, but this is enough for now. Take off these strips. They're not that long, as you can get on nettles, but still they are okay. This is out of season for this now. Usually I get longer fibers. I made one cordage for demo in May, when there was a lot of moisture in the wood. The leaves were coming out, and yeah, and the bark was very easy to peel off. But it's possible still with this too. It's really hard in the winter though, but for the winter we have some other options. Do this the same way. Twist it until it twists on itself. And keep monitoring the two bundles of fibers so they are equally thick. You can feel it very easily when you're twisting. So here I'm coming to an end, so I had to add more fibers. before it goes out. That's important, or else you get a weak point. So you have a nice little thread, and this is I'm not able to rip it off. No, so it's pretty strong, this too, and you can see it's kind of finer and then the stinging nettle. And this, out of this, especially in the spring, you're able to get much finer fibers from the inner bark, easier to peel off, longer, thinner, and you can actually make a fishing line out of this. Ah shit, I broke this. Oosh. Well, the first sapling broke, so I found a new one, a little thinner one, and I'm gonna attach it to the tree. And I'll show you a simple method for this. Put it underneath. As you can see, this holds up very well. And now, start twisting it around. And hopefully, we're not gonna break it. We're just gonna twist the. See, it starts to twist here. And as we do that, we go around the tree to lock the twisted area even more. I'll twist a little bit more. And more around the tree. This way we'll not rip off the branch. What we're doing, we are separating the fibers. It's a little bit hard. We have twisted the wood now. You can see the grains all around. Now we have twisted the whole branch so it's more pliable without breaking. Now it's the fibers are still strong and long. We're not broken it up. So now we can use this to tie with, just as a spruce root. Now I can actually use this as a rope without it breaking for us. This part is not twisted that much, so. So to be able to use this birch saplings as a rope, you need to twist them, and to do that it's easiest with that method I showed you on that tree. Use the whole sapling, wrap it around the tree, lock itself, and start twisting. You see it kind of opened itself when it's twisting loose again, but now it's pliable or flexible without breaking. As you can see. So cordage making is a skill that I find very, very important to learn. because it's almost as important as fire making, because cordage is something you use in everything, in making shelter, making fire, so it's kind of a essential piece in all the other skills too. So I encourage you to go out and try it yourself, practice. You don't have to practice much to make cordage out of stinging nettles. It's maybe the easiest, and well, no problems. At the end, I want to show you another method. It's not natural, but it's made of a material we often find in the nature, garbage, especially along the coast. And I know many of you say you carry this in your kit, so why not? These are 2 strips of a garbage bag, a pretty thin one also. So we'll do it the same way. Well, I only made about 10 centimeters of this, just to show you it's possible. And you can see how thin this line is. And it's pretty strong. This will easily fish smaller fish up to a pound or so without any issues. So, thank you for watching. I really hope you liked this video, and I hope you learned something new and that you will go out and try this yourself, because it's a really good skill to know. So please try all these methods and let me know how it goes. Thank you for watching.